The day I told my wife I lost my job, she filed for divorce, and my daughter said, "You're useless to us now, Dad." They kicked me out, but they didn't know I had just received $8 million. 3 days later, I had 175 missed calls, and I swear to God I stare at my phone like it was some kind of cosmic joke, because 3 days earlier my wife, well, soon-to-be ex-wife, Rachel had looked me dead in the eye with this cold, almost relieved expression, like she'd been waiting for years for me to fall so she could finally throw the punch she'd rehearsed, and my daughter Lily, my little girl who I thought still had some softness left in her, echoed her mother like a cruel shadow and said, those words that cracked something inside me harder than any layoff ever could. I thought losing the job was the worst part of my week. But no, apparently it was a moment I learned my own family's love had an invoice attached to it. They told me to pack my things in an hour, said the house belonged to the future, not the past. Whatever that poetic garbage meant. And I didn't argue, didn't fight, didn't raise my voice. I just walked out because I knew something they didn't. Earlier that morning, before the meeting where they restructured me out of existence, a contract I closed months ago finally paid out. And after taxes, bonuses, and equity vesting, the transfer that hit my hidden personal account. No, not the joint. Account Rachel had access to was $8,157,000. I didn't tell them because some instinct inside me whispered I needed to see what they looked like when they thought I had nothing. And let me tell you, the faces they wore when they believed I was broke were educational. That first night, after I checked into a quiet hotel across town, I lay awake not because I was heartbroken, though yes, I was, but because something colder than sadness spread through my chest, something like clarity, like life had just shown me the truth behind two people I had loved most. So I listened, I observed, I learned. On day 2, I started getting a few texts from Lily. Nothing apologetic, nothing sympathetic, just logistical demands. Mom says you still need to pay your part of the mortgage before the divorce papers are signed. We need the car insurance paid until we get a new plan. Can you transfer me $600? It's urgent. No, Dad, are you okay? No kindness. Just entitlement wrapped in a teenager's casual cruelty. On day 3, the calls started flooding in. The first 20 I ignored because I thought maybe Rachel was just losing her mind about paperwork. She was never good with anything more complicated than Amazon return, but when I saw Lily had tried calling 32 times, I sat up. Then Rachel's mother called. Then her sister. Then numbers I didn't recognize. Then a video call request from Lily. Then another. Something wasn't adding up, especially since I hadn't told a soul where I was staying or that the money existed. So I answered the next call from an unknown number, and it wasn't Rachel on the other end. It was her best friend, Madison, voice shaking like she'd seen a ghost. "You need to come home," she said. Something happened. I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I drove to the house slowly, thinking maybe Rachel had gotten a taste of what financial pressure actually felt like, or maybe Lily had finally realized her dad was an ATM with legs. But when I turned onto the street and saw 2 police cars parked in front of my house, still legally mine, as my lawyer would later remind them, I exhaled this long, tired breath that felt like it came from my bones. Officers were talking to Rachel on the porch, and the moment she saw me, she sprinted across the lawn barefoot, screaming my name like she hadn't thrown me out with a smile 3 days earlier. She looked wild, hair messy, mascara streaked, panic in her eyes, and Lily stood behind her looking small for the first time in years, arms wrapped around herself like the wind might break her. "Please," Rachel cried, grabbing my jacket. "You have to come inside." The officers explained the situation. Their accounts, Rachel's, Lily's, even the joint account, had been frozen. Completely. Every credit card declined. Every debit card locked. Mortgage autopay blocked. Rachel was convinced I'd sabotaged her life out of revenge. I hadn't. Yet. What she didn't know was at the bank, seeing unusual activity from her side, and knowing the joint account technically traced back to me, followed standard fraud protocols. But she didn't want logic. She wanted a villain. "How could you do this to us?" she screamed. And something inside me finally snapped, not loudly, not violently, just this quiet breaking where respect used to be. I said calmly, "I didn't do anything to you that you didn't already do to me." She blinked like I'd slapped her. The officers asked if she had evidence I'd committed fraud. She didn't. She couldn't. They left, and the moment they were gone, Rachel's face changed, not into guilt, not into sadness, but into calculation. Fine, she hissed. Then you can fix it. You're still responsible for your family. I laughed, actually laughed. A real stunned, exhausted laugh that made her flinch. Family? I said, you filed for divorce the second things got hard. You told me I wasn't part of this family anymore. But the truth was much uglier, and it hit them fast. Because while Rachel was screaming about the accounts, I noticed something else. There were male shoes by the door. Not mine. A jacket draped over the banister. A man's cologne lingering in the hallway. I walked inside slowly, and Lily followed me with this terrified look like she knew the explosion that was coming. Who's here? I asked. Neither answered. But then a man stepped out of the kitchen, holding a beer, looking way too comfortable in my space. His name was Eric. I recognized him from exactly one place. Rachel's co-worker. The one she said was happily married. The one she said was practically like a brother. I turned to Rachel. How long? She froze. Lily whispered, Dad, please don't. How long? I repeated, quieter this time. 6 months. She finally said, in the way she said it, flat, resigned, like she was admitting to stealing a pack of gum instead of detonating our entire lives. Something inside me just turned off. Eric tried stepping forward to offer some pathetic apology, but before he could open his mouth, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his face drained of color. And I knew. I didn't even have to ask. His wife had found out too. She was the unknown number. The panic. The missed calls. His life was collapsing in real time, and suddenly Rachel wasn't clinging to him like her upgrade. She was clinging to me, begging me to fix everything she broke. I stepped back, away from her hands, away from her desperate voice, away from the mess she created. You made your choice, I said. Now live with it. And then I left. I drove to my lawyer's office, and we drafted something so airtight it might as well have been forged by God himself. The divorce settlement flipped instantly. The moment infidelity was proven, which it was thoroughly, Rachel forfeited her claim to the house, alimony, and assets. Lily, being 17, couldn't be legally forced into anything yet, but the judge would take into account the environment she had chosen. By day 5, Rachel was served eviction papers. My lawyer's recommendation, not out of cruelty, but because leaving her in a home would complicate division of assets. She called me 36 times that day alone. I ignored everyone. By day 7, Eric's wife contacted me personally. Her name was Hannah. She apologized. I apologized. 2 hurt spouses navigating the wreckage together. It wasn't romantic, but it was grounding, like talking to someone who had been hit by the same truck. By day 9, Rachel had moved into a cheap apartment with Lily, and suddenly their tune changed from anger to pleading. Because poverty is a way of humbling people who think they're immune to consequences. We were scared. Lily cried on one voicemail. Mom made a mistake. Another. Dad, please, the rent is due. We're going to be kicked out. Another. I didn't mean what I said. I was just repeating Mom. And it hurt. God, it hurt. But pain doesn't erase reality. Somewhere along the way, I lost a version of them I thought loved me. By day 12, I bought a new home across the city, modern, quiet, with a long driveway and enough land to breathe without hearing anyone call me useless. I furnished it slowly, cooked for myself, slept without tension in my shoulders for the first time in years. And then, on day 15, Rachel showed up at my door. Alone. She looked destroyed. No makeup, dark circles. She knocked softly, like she was afraid the house might reject her too. Can we talk? She whispered. And for a moment, I saw the woman I married, 20 years younger, hopeful, kind. A version of her long dead. Talk about what? I asked. About us, she said. About our family. I shook my head. There is no us anymore. She dropped to her knees, literally knees on the concrete, and sobbed like the world had ended. I chose wrong, she cried. I chose wrong, and I ruined everything, and I don't know how to fix it. And maybe a part of me wanted to comfort her. Maybe a part of me still loved the memory of who she used to be. But the truth was simple. Some damage is permanent. I told her I hoped she healed. I told her I hoped she grew. But I wasn't coming back. Then I closed the door. She stayed outside for 20 minutes, crying into her hands, until finally she walked away. And the strangest thing happened after that. Lily reached out, not demanding, not angry, not entitled. Just a girl who missed her father. "Can we talk?" she asked. Just talk. No money, no favors. Just Dad and Lily. And for the first time since this all began, I felt something warm instead of numb, because maybe she wasn't gone. Maybe she was just a kid who followed the wrong parent at the wrong time. Maybe she still had a chance to grow into someone better than both of us. She came over that night. We talked for hours. She cried. I cried. She apologized more times than I could count. And while I didn't forgive everything, not yet, I let her sit beside me on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, eating microwave popcorn while we watched some stupid sitcom she liked. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel alone. As for Rachel, last I heard, Eric left her too. His wife took the house. He moved states. Rachel's struggling, working long shifts, living small. And I don't wish her harm. I don't wish her suffering. I don't wish her anything at all. Some stories don't end with revenge. They end with distance. And mine? Mine ends here in my quiet house, with my daughter slowly finding her way back to me, and with the knowledge that losing everything wasn't the worst thing that happened to me. It was the moment I discovered who actually loved me, and who never did.